We've got a good receiver room, and so if it were to come up in that position, then you're just making sure it's a player that um, fits that room really well. So I wouldn't get into the ins and outs of a specific receiver that you're looking for this year. It's like a lot of positions in this draft for us, and that we're in a good spot depth-wise on our team where you could take players that really make you a lot better at that position.
At 31, are y'all looking for somebody who can potentially start right away, or are y'all willing to kind of give them time to kind of see how that goes?
No, I don't think you want to pitch yourself into anything. We're going to look for the player that fits us best and can make us better in the short term and the long term. So, until you get your hands on a player, it's impossible to say how they're going to react to life in the NFL and how quickly they can transition. And obviously, our scouts have done a great job researching these guys. Our coaches have been on the road for the last month, getting a feel for these guys at the pro days, and then you're drafting a player you think can make the organization better and the team better, and then you see how they integrate within your systems.
How big of a deal, Zach, are intangibles when you're trying to decipher the difference, which the line can be so fine and so small between players? How big of a deal are intangibles?
It's what you spend a lot of time. Our scouts do that really over the last 2 years, researching these players, going into schools, talking to the coaches, the support staff, anybody they can get information from to get the background on the players. And then our job as coaches is we meet these guys really over the last 45 days or so to learn more about how they fit with us and what's their football character, what are their intangibles like in the locker room. Do they love the process? That's the biggest thing for us is how have they reacted to this process? How are they going to react to the grind of a really long season where you got to pay attention to meetings and practices, and you got to love that stuff, or else it's kind of eat you up a little bit. So those are the things that we just have to do during the scouting process. And again, Duke and his staff did a really good job ironing that stuff out for us, making it easy.
Do they love ball, in other words?
Yeah, that's the simplest way to put it, I think. It's not just about looking good on game days and playing great on game days. It's the guys who can do the other part really well. Usually it leads to success for them early in their career potentially. If they love walking in the building every day and seeing what the coaches have in store for them and being a part of a team and being in practice and all that kind of stuff.
Which is more important to you in the evaluation process, intangibles or versatility, flexibility, and skill set?
It's a mixture of everything. Obviously we want talent. That's the easiest way to win a championship is to have a lot of talent on your team, and then you're looking for guys. There's a lot of guys in the draft, so you're looking for that mix of talent and the football character and the intangibles, versatility, based on the position that they're playing, obviously. Again, that's why there's a lot of players that are in this mix. Duke leads the charge and does a great job with his scouting staff of paring it down to the guys that really fit the Bengals and will make us a better team.
The fact that you had key players like Mike Burrow and Chase and Higgins on rookie deals, did that give you guys flexibility to spend in free agency the way y'all did the last couple of years?
I think it's good. Anytime you can hit on your draft picks, and they're really good players for you. It certainly helps things, to have guys on those younger deals. But that's I think we just have a really good mixture of young players who we've drafted here, players that we've added from other organizations that have served us really well. So it's just a really good mix of young guys and veterans on this team.
Given how you guys are spending free agency on defensively, do you feel like it is important now to make sure that you guys get the young depth that you're looking for, that guys can be contributors here in the next couple of years?
I always think it's important. That's why, again, Duke and his staff, have done such a great job of researching these guys and presenting what all these players are about, and then the coaches are able to go on the road as well and give their input. So it's just a really good collaborative effort by everybody. To make sure that we're always adding, you don't want to miss on your draft picks. It's impossible to be perfect all the time, but I think Duke and his staff have done a really good job these last couple of years of bringing the right people in the building.
How quickly after the Super Bowl did you flip the switch and dive into draft prep?
Well, it was more free agency for the coaching staff early on. We wanted to make sure we're hitting each period the right way, and so you went to the combine quickly. I think 2 weeks after the game. And so maybe as a coaching staff, you didn't know those players as well as we had in the past, but like I keep saying, Duke and those guys knew them extensively, and so you lean on them for that information. But we wanted to make sure we were correct in free agency, adding those right pieces immediately, and then you move to the next player, next stage of the player acquisition process, and that was the draft. So we dove into that, and then our players will be showing up, and shortly after the draft, we'll dive into our own players. So it's fun to be a part of. There's different stages of it, different seasons, if you will, of the off season, and we're kind of in that middle stage right now of the draft prep.
With about, 8-9 days till the draft, what's the emphasis of the coaching staff right now in the draft preparation process this week?
Just circling back and making sure we all see everybody the same way, and if you don't, having all those discussions to make sure you iron it out. It's not, maybe like the movies where you're having all these in-depth conversations while you're on the clock. Duke does a great job. He's got so much experience doing this, of anticipating the conversations that you're going to be having on draft day 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance. And so those are the conversations you're really having right now.
At 31, do you try to almost minimize the risk as much as possible? Let's say there's a character red flag or a size red flag or something like that. Are you more likely to eliminate a player at 31 versus 63 or 95? Because of something like that? I guess?
That's hard to say. You want a guy that fits what we're about, and so I think that's at all areas of the draft. And so again, that's why we spend these next 2 weeks talking in depth about what we're looking for at each spot and all the different scenarios that can play out. And so again, we just want players that are going to make us better and help us get back to where we want to be.
What are the skills that make a good outside corner in the league right now?
Short memory. There's so many really talented receivers in the league right now that are big, fast, physical, got great speed. So again, you're challenged almost every week with the different skill set potentially from a receiving core that you're going to face. And so there's different guys that maybe fit different schemes a little bit better, but I felt like we played against a lot of really good corners this year. A lot of guys that were in free agency this year we played against, and a lot of them have different skill sets. And what I appreciate most as an offensive guy, mostly is those guys that just compete down in and down out. And they might not be perfect, but you see that football character that really stands out to these DBs.
One more question.
Did you overlap with Curtis Brooks for a year at UC?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What do you remember about his redshirt freshman year, if anything?
He's a good player. He's had a great career there. Obviously, I was on the offense side of the ball. I was only there for 9 months, so I won't pretend that I knew all the defensive guys as well as I would if I had been there a little bit longer. But certainly, he was highly thought of coming out of Virginia, and there's certainly a great addition over there at UC, and he had a great career for those guys and helped them win a lot of games.